Have you finished your first few edits in Lightroom? Awesome. Now let's talk about how to stay organized, consistent, and confident in your editing workflow going forward. Hi there, I'm Zach, and in this final video of this beginning series, we're stepping back to take a look at the bigger picture. How to build a Lightroom workflow that's not just functional, but sustainable. We'll talk about organizing catalogs, keeping edits backed up, developing your own editing style, and knowing what to learn next. Okay, so the first tip is avoid the one giant catalog forever trap. Catalogs can be a really powerful organization method if you use them properly. We've covered that already in more detail, but one thing you can do is create catalogs even based on year. Every beginning of every year, start a new catalog so that you can keep things more organized. This is great for solo creatives or for personal work, just maybe doing a yearly catalog. Keep it on a fast SSD and back it up regularly, but having more than one catalog is a good idea almost in every scenario. You can have multiple catalogs for different clients or for heavy shooters that shoot multiple genres. I don't practice this as well, but I should have a catalog for wildlife and a catalog for macro, and then a catalog for everything else I shoot. Name them clearly. So if you're a wedding photographer, name them 2025 weddings, or if like me, I should have a bird catalog, and honestly, it should probably be broken down into like birds first quarter 2025 or something like that. Whichever method you use though, keep your catalog backed up. Enable automatic backups in Lightroom's preferences. Okay, next we're going to talk about folder hygiene and file management. You want to stay organized long term. This can be really hard to do. It's very easy to quickly export some photos and throw a folder on your desktop and eventually have folders all over your desktop of random photos that you have no idea what they are. Always make sure you're naming your photos carefully and with meaning. Use a consistent folder structure. The most consistent thing for me is to work by date. This does help with the way I think. I can usually recall a rough date. If I'm looking for a photo, I can search through just a few folders and figure out where the photo I'm looking for is. But whatever works for you, pick a system and stick to it. You can move files after the fact with Lightroom, but don't do it on your computer. Do it in the library module with Lightroom so that Lightroom can keep track of where those photos are. This will preserve your catalog. It'll preserve Lightroom's edits that you have made and just make life easier in the future. Also, make sure that you're deleting things from your hard drive. This is obviously optional. If you've got unlimited funds and plenty of hard drive space, you can keep every photo you've ever taken. I'm not that way, and hard drive space becomes precious when you take a lot of photos. You fill them up very quickly. We talked about the shortcut to use command backspace or command delete in a previous video. When you're done with your initial call of photos, Lightroom can just remove those from your disk entirely. Saves you a ton of space. Depending on your style of shooting, this can save enormous amounts of hard drive space. I typically will go out for a day and take 800 to 1,000 photos, but I may only work on 5 to 15 of them at the end of the day because the rest are out of focus or they're poorly framed. Getting those off my hard drive can sometimes save in excess of 10 to 15 gigabytes worth of data. When editing, don't stress the quote-unquote finding your look right away. This is almost certain to evolve over time anyway, as your style develops and as your tastes change, as you age. There's a million factors that will change the look that you're going for with one photo versus another. In fact, I find it fun to go back and re-edit photos that I took a decade ago and compare what I came up with then to what I come up with now. It's really good to review your own edits and see how you've grown and what do you consistently adjust and what did you change then that you still change now. Saving your favorite adjustments as presets is a really good idea just because it gives you that benchmark to start with. If you really like how a photo turned out, save it. Someday you may use it You may remember this photo looks a lot like that photo I took 5 years ago. Find that preset, apply it. You'll find that you are really pleased with how those turn out in the future because you put your heart into it in the first place. And now you can see how your hard work on that previous photo pays off in dividends on the new photo by saving you a lot of time. Try to recreate your own styles too. If you edited a photo to look one way, when you have a photo that you can create the same look, but they're exposed completely different, trying to mimic the two styles between differing photos is a really good practice and will teach you a lot about how each of these sliders work. Also be consistent across your shoots or projects to build cohesion. If you make a certain number of edits or certain sliders, you move them the same way every time. This can teach you about your shooting style. I really like to pull photos out of the camera that really only need a crop. That's hard to do. We all know that's hard to do. They almost all could use some adjustment just to look better, especially to keep up with modern technology and how well other photographers are at editing their photos. Consistently editing your photos and trying to develop those presets to develop your look is going to develop muscle memory that allows you to make quick, consistent edits so you don't spend all day working on one photo. All right, if you've stuck with it through this entire series, or you're able to follow along with even just the last few videos, you're in a good spot, and you've built a really strong foundation. So what's next? I do plan to create more videos around Lightroom in an intermediate and maybe even an advanced series at some point, where we're going to cover the topics that I'm about to mention here. But if you don't find them on my channel, you should continue to grow your photography, your Lightroom Classic abilities by exploring these topics with other educators. First is advanced masking. We covered basic masks, but you can get really advanced with masks, and they can really work to improve your photos. Next is the tone curve and the HSL panel. This gives you really fine control over colors in your photo and the shadows and the highlights, and knowing how to use these properly to adjust your photos so that you aren't just reliant on somebody else's presets is a huge win with any Lightroom journey. Next is batch editing. Syncing your edits across many photos can save so much time. The scenario that constantly comes to mind when talking about batch editing is things like event photographers, where the lighting's consistent throughout an entire room and you're taking photos. You can adjust and get one look on a certain photo and know how to apply that to every photo that you need to produce for that client. Next is smart collections. Learn how metadata workflows affect your workflow and how to use those to your advantage. And eventually, learn how to round trip from Lightroom Classic to Photoshop and back when needed. Photoshop isn't as important for photographers as Lightroom is, but it is useful, and you will find excuses to use it at some point, or you may just want to use it for fun. But knowing how to take a photo from Lightroom to Photoshop and back in using the Adobe methods that they've built in is a really powerful tool in your toolbox. Beyond these, I'm listening to what you guys want to learn. Let me know in the comments what you want to go deeper on, and we'll build videos in the future towards that. And that's a wrap on Lightroom Classic Beginner Series. If you've made it through all these videos, you've gone from setup to export, and now you're ready to start editing smarter, faster, and more confidently. If you haven't watched the full series yet, you'll find the complete playlist linked below. And if the series helped you, the best way to say thanks is to hit subscribe or like and drop a comment. I read them all and would love to hear what you'd like to see next.